Barigani, welcome to our home.
Barigani, and welcome to our home. My name is Edward H. Brown Jr. I am the chairperson of the Black Studies Group of the African American Cultural Society. And we are in my home with my wife, Wilhelmina, and my daughter, Edwina. We're going to be celebrating Kwanzaa for 2020. And the source we're going to be looking at and reading from is a book that was written by Maulana Karanga, who was the founder of Kwanzaa in 1966. And the book is entitled The African American Holiday of Kwanzaa, A Celebration of Family, Community, and Culture. And its first print was 1989. We have the fruits. They represent the crops and the works of African people across the globe, across Africa. Kwanzaa accepts that as part and parcel of what we do. There's a mat, which represents the foundation that everything stands on. There's the Kanor, which represents the parent people in continental Africa. And then there's the Nguzo Saba, the 7 candles, which represent the key principles of Kwanzaa. UMOJA, KUJICHAGULIA, UJIMA, UJAMAA, NIA, KUUMBA, and IMANI. We're going to be going into those in more detail. So without further ado, I think we will start on the first principle, which is UMOJA, to strive for a principled and harmonious togetherness in family, community, nation, and in the world African community. This is the first and foundational principle of the Nguzo Saba, or the 7 principles. And without it, all other principles suffer. Unity is both principle and practice, togetherness in all things good and mutual benefit. It is principled and harmonious togetherness, not simply being together. This is why a valued rootedness is simply so important and even indispensable. Unity as a principled and harmonious together is a cardinal virtue of both essential and classical and general African societies. In ancient Egypt, harmony was a cardinal virtue called ma'at, righteousness and rightness. In fact, one of the ways to translate and define ma'at is harmony. Harmony on the natural, cosmic, and social level. Likewise, among the Dinka people, it means morality and harmonious living together. Thus, both ancient and Egyptian and Dinka societies, one cannot live a moral life without living in harmony with other members of the community.
And I'll be reading the second, the KUJICHAGULIA principle. It means self-determination, to define ourselves, name ourselves, create for ourselves, and speak for ourselves, instead of being defined, named, created for, and spoken for by others. The second principle of the Nguzo Saba is self-determination. This too expresses itself as both commitment and practice. It demands that we, as an African people, define, defend, and develop ourselves instead of allowing or encouraging others to do this. It requires that we recover lost memory and once again, shape our world in our own image and interest. And it is a call to recover and speak our own special truth to the world and raise images above the earth that reflect our capacity for human greatness and progress.
The third principle is UJIMA, collective work and responsibility. To build and maintain our community together and make our sisters and brothers' problems our problems, and to solve them together. The third principle, UJIMA, collective work and responsibility, which is a commitment to activate and inform togetherness on matters of common interest. And it's also recognition and respect of the fact that without collective work and struggle, progress is impossible and liberation unthinkable. Moreover, the principle of UJIMA supports the fundamental assumption that African is not just an identity, but also a destiny and duty. In other words, our collective identity in the long run is a collective future. Thus, there is a need and obligation for us as self-conscious and committed people to shape our future with our own minds and hands and share its hardships and benefits together.
Here. UJAMA, cooperative economics. To build our own business, control the economics of our own community, and share in all its work and wealth. The fourth principle is UJAMA, cooperative economics, and it's essentially a commitment to the practice of a shared social wealth and the work necessary to achieve it. It grows out of the fundamental communal concept that social wealth belongs to the masses of the people who created it, and that no one should have such an unequal amount of wealth that it gives him or her the capacity to impose unequal, exploitative, or oppressive relations on others. Sharing wealth is another form of communitarian exchange, sharing and cooperative in general. But it is essential because without the principle and practice of shared wealth, the social conditions for exploitation, oppression, and inequality, as well as deprivation and suffering, are increased. UJAMA is based on the assumption of human equality, on the belief that it is wrong for one person to dominate and exploit another, and on the knowledge that every individual hopes to live in a society as free, able to lead a decent life in conditions of peace with his neighbor.
The following principle is NIA, purpose. To make our collective vocation the building and developing of our community in order to restore our people to their traditional greatness. The fifth principle of the Nguzo Saba, NIA, purpose, which is essentially a commitment to the collective vocation of building, developing, and defending our national community, its culture and history in order to regain our historical initiative and greatness as a people. The assumption here is that our role in human history has been and remains a key one, that we as African people share the great human legacy Africa has given to the world. That legacy is one of having not only been the fathers and mothers of humanity, but also the fathers and mothers of human civilization. Having introduced in the Nile Valley civilizations the basic disciplines of human knowledge, it is the identity which gives us an overriding cultural purpose and suggests a direction. The principle of NIA then makes us conscious of our purpose in light of our historical identity.
KUUMBA, creativity. To do always as much as we can in the way we can in order to leave our community more beautiful and beneficial than we inherited it. The sixth principle is KUUMBA, creativity, and logically follows from and is required from the principle of NIA. It is a commitment to being creative within the context of the national community vocation of restoring our people to their traditional greatness and thus living our community more beneficial and beautiful than each generation inherited it. The principle has both a social and spiritual dimension and is deeply rooted both in social and sacred teachings of African societies.
Okay, the seventh principle and the final principle is IMANI, or faith. To believe with all of our heart in our Creator, our people, our parents, our teachers, our leaders, in the righteousness and victory of our struggle.
Amen.
The seventh principle of faith, which is essentially a profound belief and commitment to all that is to all of value to us in family, community, people, culture, and context of African spirituality. It begins with a belief in the Creator and in the positiveness of creation and the logic that it leads us to believe in the essential goodness and possibility of the human personality. For all African spiritual traditions, from Egypt on, it has taught us that we are in the image of the Creator and thus capable of ultimate righteousness, creativity through self-mastery, development in the context of positive support. Therefore, faith in ourselves is key here. Faith in our capacity as humans to live righteously, self-correct, support, care for, and be responsible for each other, even and eventually create the just and good society. We must then have faith in ourselves, our leaders, our teachers, our parents, and the righteousness and victory of our struggle, that through hard work, a long struggle, and a whole lot of love and understanding, we can step back on the stage of human history as a free, proud, and productive people. And in this context, we can surely speak our own special truths to the world and make our own unique contribution to the forward flow of humanity. Sante Sana, thank you very much.
Happy Kwanzaa.
Happy Kwanzaa.
From our home to yours with lots of love.